You guys gotta stop doing that. Hey, do you want to see the top 5 mistakes that people make when they're carving faces in wood? Well, let's do it then. All right. I should say this too. I have some projects in the school that already show you how I actually resolve these problems by showing you the mistakes that people make and then going ahead and fixing them and making them better. So you can check that out in the link below, along with like 80 plus project videos or 90 plus project videos on carving female, male, young and old faces. So yeah. All right, let's get into this video. Okay, one of the mistakes that I see all the time with carvers carving the mouth. Let's go to the mouth here. Let me grab a pencil and point at it with. It's this, the oral commissure. This little inside corner of the mouth. People oftentimes when they carve the mouth, just have the mouth kind of sitting on the surface of the face and these big, heavy ridges, blocky ridges into the corners of the lips. And one thing you can do is carve what are called the oral commissures. And the oral commissures are these little indentations. It's kind of hard to see in this carving because it's so subtle. But if I take the light over from the side, you can kind of see these little, there you go, these little indentations that I've created on the sides of the mouth. That sets the mouth into the face in such a way to where it's rounded. The lips look like they're kind of folding into the face, and the surface of the skin is kind of dented in at these corners. So that's one thing that I see people doing incorrectly is they don't create these oral commissures properly, and they don't kind of feather the lips edge into these oral commissures. Okay, another problem, and this is kind of a wild carving to look at, so excuse the shadows, but people don't get far enough in the inside corners of the eyes. The inside corner and the outside corner. Look at how much depth I've got in this carving. Of course, these eyes aren't done, but you can still see the major shapes in them. And we really want to get nice depth in the inside and outside corners of the eyes. Most people, they don't quite get the mound of the eye properly set. The difficult thing about it is you've got a round thing set within a concave surface, and that is this eye socket. So the eyeball not only has to be round, but it has to be sitting into the skull, so it's actually behind the brow ridge. So we also notice that a lot of beginner carvers don't properly set the depth of the eyeball into the skull. In the same way that carvers don't properly set the lips into the face by carving the oral commissures, people don't properly set the nose into the face by carving the nasolabial folds. Those are the smile lines on either side of the mouth. Now, these generally on younger people are pretty soft, and especially softening out as they move laterally or away from the nose. As you can see here, it starts out kind of a deep fissure and it opens up to this more soft kind of crease. Well, this anchor point, this nasal defining line, does a lot here, and it also allows the nose to sit within the face. So if we look at it from the side view and say I use this toilet paper roll to draw a line from the brow ridge to the lips, you see that nose is half covered. Can you see the little nostril in there peeking out? That nostril is set into the face. So going ahead and carving this groove alongside of the nose and excavating out the material on the side of that groove. This area in here, this is like the maxillary area, is imperative to getting that nose to protrude. All right, we really want that nose to stick out. That's that. So the nose has to be set in. Carve those nostril flares in by really setting in the nasolabial fold. Another mistake that I find myself doing constantly is making the forehead of my carvings too prominent. They stick too far out and they don't turn. Right at the turn of the head or the hairline, the skull should start to turn back and in. And a lot of times on my carvings, that is, I'll have a lot of extra material on the forehead that doesn't need to be there, so it'll be sticking out. I was just looking at a carving earlier today that had that problem, and that I carved a few months ago. And it's just something that I don't notice until after the fact, which is why a great solution to that is taking a break, getting a little distance from your carving, leaving the studio, coming back to it and seeing it with fresh eyes. It'll show you a whole host of mistakes that you made. Another good thing to have that shows you the right depths is to have a skull in hand, to have a skull in your studio, or to have a planes of the face sculpture. This kind of shows you the types of angles that you're looking for. This is for a male face, but the idea is still there, right? You can see some of the shapes present. Oh, and on that note about the forehead, people will often make the forehead so blocky, square almost, right? With a flat plane here and then two side angles for the temples. Well, the forehead actually has three planes. Let's go back over to this model here. This really shows off these three planes perfectly. This dark panel, this medium panel, and this light panel are indicative of the planes that make up the front part of the forehead, or the frontalis. Okay, so this is a kind of flat surface seemingly, but in reality, it actually has these planes to it. Of course, these corners are taken down, these angles, it's not exactly this way. You can see here in the skull, it's a little bit smoother than that, but you can still see these planes evidenced in the skull here. Okay, and the last one that I wanted to cover is the neck, the relationship of the chin to the neck. A lot of people make this mistake where they take the chin, they cut it back, and they make a V cut. So it looks kind of like this. A chunk is coming out of the neck, and then the neck comes forward. Well, typically, in fact, always, the neck kind of ski slopes downhill from the chin on down to the clavicle. So notice how it's kind of a ski slope down. You'll see a lot of folks when they're carving necks, they'll have this angle going the opposite way, and they'll have the neck coming, again, kind of like this. So imagine that my fingers are negative space. There's nothing behind my fingers. And the neck goes back and in, and then forward. That is not the way the neck is working here, right? So we have this gradual ski slope from the chin. It angles a little bit more steeply, but then it starts to gradually come down into the clavicle. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. I'm gonna get off here, but again, if you wanna check out the school, you can look at it in the link below. I have the in-depth video I show you about taking a good carving and making it a better one, and tons of other project videos on male, female, faces, young and old, so check that out. All right, that's it. Let's get after some good carving, all right? Take your vitamins.